On behalf of Jaipuria School of Business, would like to extend a warm welcome to Mr. Dipendra Tikkuji, General Manager Vodafone, and I'm sure his insights and inputs on Vodafone campaign would be a learning journey for all of us. So looking forward to your insights and inputs for our students of second year PGDM. So over to you, Mr. Dipendra ji.
So before this, I'll take an opportunity to introduce Mr. Dipendra Tikku to all the students. So Mr. Dipendra Tikku has a 15 years of experience and he has handled various marketing and sales roles in his career. He has worked in prestigious organizations like HCL Infosystems, Titan Industries, and Vodafone India. He has worked in different states, like he has worked in Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, J&K, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. And he is currently working as a general manager marketing in Vodafone Idea, and he handles prepaid products and revenue. His expertise includes customer engagement, identifying segments and launching relevant campaigns, maximizing customer retention, maximizing revenue. And I am proud to share that he is my colleague. We have done MBA together from Prestige Institute of Management. So thank you, Dipender, for accepting our invitation, giving your precious time to us, and imparting your knowledge to the students. Yeah, Dipender, please, we would be
Thank you.
happy to
It's a pleasure
learn from
actually.
you.
So
Yes.
first of all, I would like to thank Mrs. Dr. Shukla for inviting me, giving me this opportunity to interact with the students of Jaipuria Institute. I'm really delighted to be interacting with students. I'm filled with nostalgia actually, going back to my college days 15 years back when I was a student and doing my MBA from Prestige. Me and Nitin, as Nitin rightly said, we were batchmates in Prestige Institute. And since then, we have been in touch. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dipin. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
accepting the invitation.
Thank you. So I will just, I have a small presentation that I will share with you all. Uh, just a sec. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, yes, it's there.
Uh, I know presentations can be boring, and so wherever possible, I would try to support my explanations with examples, with real life examples. And I would have loved to keep this session interactive, coming to your college and then interacting with students and handling live questions. But due to the pandemic, we'll have to do it digitally, and this is a new normal now. So I'll just take you through the telecom basics and then explain you how segmentation and how campaigns work in telecom, and what are the basic terminologies that we use in telecom. What is a marketeer's responsibility in an organization, and I started my career with sales, and then after about 5.5 years, I moved to marketing, and since last 10 years, I'm in marketing. Uh, uh, the marketing role actually demands a lot from a person. So I would like to. There would be a lot of students who would like to pursue their career in marketing in their future. I would just brief them what a marketer stands for, and what actually telecom stands for, and how do we segment and how do we launch campaigns. Wherever possible, I would support my explanations with examples, so that the presentation does not get so too boring. So telecom, as you know, is a service sector launched in around 1995, when telecom was a luxury. Carrying a mobile phone was a luxury, and people used to say, "When why do we carry a mobile phone when I have a landline?" And since then, 2020, now people say, Why should I have a landline when I have a mobile phone?" So we have traveled far. Uh, since then, mobile phones have become a need of the hour, and not only voice but data also. Now there are different applications running on data. uh, Entertainment has become mobile. A lot of entertainment applications running on mobile data. and mobile data and voice have become a need of the hour. So I'll just take you through the 4 pillars of a telecom company, and why are these 4 pillars important from a telecom point of view? Because as a marketer, one needs to understand, uh, for driving revenues in an organization, it is very important to manage customer experience, and whatever drives customer experience drives revenues. Any change in the customer's mind would actually disturb your revenues. So as a marketer, you need to have cross-functional abilities to talk to cross-functional teams and drive your agenda. Unlike in a sales function wherein you drive your own KPIs, driving the market and driving your sales figures and taking some support from other functions. But in marketing, you are the whole soul owner of customer experience, and whatever goes in customer's mind, you are the owner of that. So all these 4 pillars are very important in the customer's mind. uh, Equally important, first is the network experience. So whatever telecom is dependent on network, and initially it was only voice, and but with changing times, data has taken priority. Voice expectancy, customer expects voice by default, but now he expects superior network coverage. So telecom companies keep on expanding their network coverage. And as a marketer, as a marketing guy, for those people who want to get into marketing, keeping a tab of network is also a responsibility of that role, because any new site that gets launched in any space, suppose there is a sector called, there is a X place, and there is a network being launched there. So as a marketing guy, it is your responsibility to inform the customer that yes, we are going to expand in this area, and we are going to increase our reach, because directly it is going to affect your revenues, and it is going to give you a boost in your revenues. So network experience, giving a superior network experience to customer is definitely a priority. Second, coming to commercial experience. What is the commercial experience? Because when a customer is paying for services, he expects the billing to be fair, his payment to be simple. So what is his commercial experience with the company? How is he being charged fairly? Does he understand how is he being charged? Does he understand all the tariffs? It is very important for a marketer to explain to the customer what is he being charged for. So every charging that happens in the customer's balance, it is the marketer's duty to ensure that there is a post communication after every charging that happens, giving customer a good experience. Thirdly, product experience, which is the core responsibility of a marketer. Uh, Launching new products, launching innovative products, keeping your product simple, because if you keep your product simple, uh, customers would understand your products better, and you would have more chances of them adopting your product. I would like to quote an example. Some years back, about 6-7 years back, we launched a fabulous product wherein we did a step charging kind of a method. We told the customer, for first 100 minutes you will be charged at 40 paisa, next 100 minutes you will be charged at 30 paisa, and next 100 minutes you will be charged at 20 paisa. So our aim was to increase the minutes of usage of a customer. But then there was a different tariff for a STD calling, and then there was a different calling tariff for a local calling. But in order to make the product attractive, we made the product very complicated. And when we made the product very complicated, the customer did not understand the product. And when the customer did not understand the product, he did not adopt, he did not take the product, he did not buy the product. So it is very important for everybody to keep the product simple and explain the product to the customer in a very, very simple way. Next is keeping your product very competitive, because there is fierce competition that happens in telecom space. And as you know, there are three operators now, Vodafone Idea, Airtel and Jio. Jio being a 4G only operator, and Vodafone Idea and Airtel servicing all 2G, 3G and 4G customers. It is very important for us to be competitive in the market, because if there is a product offering say 1 GB at 150 rupees from one operator, and the other operator tries to charge a 50 rupee premium on that product, the product might not work, because there are only three operators. The customer knows the product. Your product has to be competitive enough so that customer sees value in that product. And innovation, not because as a marketer, it is always the responsibility of market to do problem solving, to find out the problem and do problem solving. Sometimes product is not the answer to every problem, but innovation is. So it is very important for us as marketers to be innovative in whatever we do. Service experience. This is another important point in the telecom space. How do I treat the customer after he boards into my network? What is my after sale service? How can he recharge? How much distance does he have to travel to recharge? Does he have to go too far to recharge? How are my stores, my VI stores, Vodafone Idea stores, treating my customer? Does he want to go again to the Vodafone Idea store? Are my front end desk officials talking to the customer with politeness, courtesy, and with a smile? So when there is a walk-in in the Vodafone Idea store, does the customer want to come to the store again? Because when he walks into my store, he gives me an opportunity to upsell, cross-sell, and also tells me that my services are superior. And what is my recharge availability? So again, what is my retailer? Does the retailer understand my product? And how far does the customer have to travel to take my product? So these are the four pillars of telecom space. Though there are other functions also in telecom, like a finance function. And as you all know, we are governed by DOT, Director of Telecom. That there is a compliance function which looks into compliance and gets approvals from DOT. So these are support functions. But as a marketer, to manage the customer experience, because telecom is all about customer experience, and as a marketer, it's our duty to manage the end-to-end experience of customer. And these are the four pillars that as a marketer we need to manage. Though a lot of people might argue, why should I look into network experience? Why should I look into customer experience? But indirectly or directly, this is going to hamper your revenues. So you will have to have cross-functional abilities. One needs to have cross-functional abilities to manage all the four pillars of telecom. Some of the key concepts before we jump into segmentation, some of the key concepts that some of the jargons or key concepts that we use in telecom, because it's important to understand these key concepts. First is the revenue earning subscriber. What is the revenue earning subscriber? So telecom is divided into different circles, and every circle has a huge base. The base can range from a 1 crore to a 1.5 crore to a 2 crore base. And it is very important that this base is managed properly. So what is a revenue earning subscriber? Out of this one, so suppose there is a base of 1 crore in a system, a circle is handling. Any customer, meaning making any activity on our network, is a revenue earning subscriber for us. For example, if a customer makes an outgoing call or an incoming call, or probably he does some data activity, he buys a recharge, or any activity he takes a VAS service, any activity that he does on our network, he's a revenue earning subscriber for us. And it is very important to have a healthy base. You should maximize your revenue earning subscribers. Otherwise, you would have a lot of base which would be attached to your network. There would be SIM in the phone, and the customer would be attached to your towers, but he would not be making any activity, giving you an indication that he is not interested in your network, in this operator, and he would soon churn out. That's the first level of indication that we get from the customer, that he wants to churn out because he has stopped doing all the activities in our network. So we always measure what is our, that's the main KPI we drive. That's a revenue earning subscriber. What is my customer engagement? So I have a base of say 100 people, 100 customers. Hello.
क्या बोल रही हो?
Hello. Somebody's on mute. Okay. So customer engagement. While driving customer engagement, what is customer engagement? How well the customer is engaged with me. What is the lines of service? So if he's using voice with me, he's making an outgoing call, he's making an incoming call, he's getting an incoming call, he's doing a data activity or a VAS activity on my network. How many lines of service is he engaged with me? And then is he regularly buying a bonus card with me? Because every time he buys a bonus card on my network, whether it's an unlimited or a non-unlimited bonus card, he shows an interest in my network, and then he's more engaged because he's spending money on my network to use it. So what is the engagement level in my network? How many customers are actually buying my bonus cards and increasing my lines of service? What is the ARPU? ARPU is average revenue per user. Formula is simple. What is your total revenue divided by what is your total subscriber base? That's your average revenue per user. The formula is simple, but a very complicated KPI. Whenever we segment, we do segments. ARPU is the main criteria on the basis of which we segment our base. ARPU is a KPI wherein we make different buckets. So my ARPU ranges from say 0 to 500. And if I have to analyze a base, I will divide my ARPU into different buckets so as to analyze the problem. I will describe this in my further slides. Segmentation is a very important criteria from a marketer's point of view. Whenever there is a problem thrown at you, say your churn is growing, or you need to increase some penetration on your base, or there is any challenge, any problem that comes across, you need to segment your base and try to find the right segment where the problem has occurred. So for example, there is a problem that churn is increasing. There are customers who are leaving us. So how do I identify which customers are leaving me? Because I can't have a blanket theory to have a strategy across all customers. There are good customers. There are customers who are not happy with my network. There are customers who are ready to port out, who are going away from my network. So when I segment the customer basis ARPU or age on network or probably handset or area, I get to know the problem area. So segmentation is a tool wherein you identify the actionable area where you want to actually action yourself. Lot of books will tell you segmentation can be done on 3 criteria, 4 criteria, 5 criteria, but there are n number of possibilities. There are infinite possibilities available on segmentation, and more the KPIs, you can segment your base on any number of KPIs, key performing areas. So segmentation is possible on n number of variables. Next is minutes of usage. Another important KPI. KPI is key performance areas. So MOU is minutes of usage. What is the minutes of usage that the customer is making on my network? This tells us the engagement level of a customer. Also, by analyzing minutes of usage on a month-on-month basis, we can look at whether the customer is growing on my network. If he's dropping on usage, why is he dropping on usage? Is there a problem in my network? What is the leg of drop? Is he dropping on local usage? Is he dropping on STD usage? Is there a drop on his ISD usage? What is the leg of usage what is the segment that is dropping? So minutes of usage is another important KPI. And like average revenue per user, we can also segment this MOU, minutes of usage, into different buckets. So to give you an example, if my MOU is ranging from my lowest customer has a MOU of 0, and a customer has the highest minutes of usage, in my network of say 1,000 minutes. So I can divide this minutes of usage into different buckets, saying how many customers are using 0 to 10 minutes, how many customers are using 10 to 20 minutes, how many customers are using 20 to 50 minutes, 50 to 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300, making buckets of minutes and looking at all the KPIs in these buckets, trying to find out the actual problem in my bucket. Next is convenience to recharge. When a customer goes out, to recharge, what is his convenience? How well is does the retailer have balance? If the customer wants to recharge from a retailer, does the retailer have balance? Does the retailer have the knowledge of all the products? Is the retailer interested in selling my product? And is the reachability, is the retailer near within his 100 meters or say 200 meters distance, and he can go and recharge? So that's convenience of recharge. What is the innovation that I have in my network? What innovative products am I offering to the customer? So quote an example here. Some years back, we have value added services wherein we offer different packs to the customer, telling him buy a Astro pack, or buy a cricket pack, or buy a stock market pack, Hollywood pack, caller tunes, and there are n number of packs that actually value added services offer. Some years back, value added services, we introduced an innovation saying name caller tunes. A customer can actually set the name of his own name as the caller tune for his number. As we told this product to the customer, there was huge lift in caller tunes, and this was an innovation. Industry actually grew on value added services, and we saw that it was a simple initiative wherein we offered his name as his caller tune. So whenever you dialed the person, the verbiage would be, "Thank you for calling Mr. X, and Mr. X would pick up your call soon." This was a very simple innovation that happened in value added services, but gave a big boost to the value added services. Next is voice of customer. Voice of customer is a very important KPI in a marketer's, plays a very pivotal role in a marketer's journey. As we grow old in our journeys in marketing, we tend to think that we know too much, and as a result, we tend to depend too much on seeing the back-end KPIs of a customer, an ARPU of a customer, an MOU shift or an ARPU shift. What is my customer engagement? But the best way of judging or knowing what is happening in my network is voice of a customer. So when I was in my sales role and in my marketing roles also, the best way, and was handling postpaid for about 2-3 years, the best way of what was happening in the postpaid space, I would get up, go to the nearest retail store, the Vodafone store, and talk to the feet on street guy. He was my front end guy, and then he would give me a feedback what the customer actually wanted, or probably talk to 5 customers, 10 customers, and get a feedback on your product, services, network, customer experience, and then formulate a strategy on the feedback that the customer has given. Next is digital ease. This KPI is has grown in the recent past, and also we have seen that because of the lockdown, wherein about 20-30% customers were recharging digitally. Suddenly, when lockdown happened, the figures doubled, and we touched about 80%, 85% of customers started using digital as a channel. We also launched a lot of programs on digital saying, if you do not know how to recharge, somebody else can guide you to recharge. We offered commissions to people for recharging other numbers, because digital knowledge in rural areas is still a challenge. So we supported this program through different programs, and we made digital ambassadors. We came across a problem in lockdown wherein retailers were closed and people were not able to go out, and they were not able to recharge. So to overcome this problem, we actually made digital ambassadors, people who were digital savvy, did their digital recharge every month through digital channels. We told these people, you recharge your near and dear ones, and we'll give you some cashbacks on your digital recharges. This KPI keeps on increasing every month. One key concept in a telecom space and all spaces is pilots. As a marketer, when you are faced with a situation wherein you have to decide what to offer, you want to offer a product at 200 rupees, or you want to offer a product at 220 rupees. So pilot is a way wherein you take a small base and then do pilots on both the products, and then decide which one gives you better results. I would discuss this in my further slides. Then there is predictive models. Predictive models actually give you because see, everybody now in telecom or any other industry is interested in knowing the future. What is going to happen next month? Who are the customers who are going to leave me? Who are the customers who are going to leave my network? Who are the customers who are going to recharge? Who are the customers who are going to upgrade? Who are the customers who are going to downgrade? So knowing the future is the need of the hour. A lot of companies, including telecom, want to know the future. And to know the future, we run a lot of predictive models. Looking at current KPIs of the customer, we run a lot of predictive models and come out with a threat base saying these are the customers who would churn next month. And so why not before they churn, why not we do a campaign around these people and try to arrest or minimize our churn. So that's an example of churn. But data science, a lot of you, I believe, would be interested in data science and would have done or would be pursuing a course in data science. Data science is an upcoming field wherein because it predicts, it has the power, because it has the power to predict. So if a lot of you who want to get into marketing, I would suggest do some courses on predictive models and do some courses on data science. So these are some of the key concepts. I would be using some of these terms in my future presentations. Wherever you don't understand a terminology or you think I'm going too fast, you can stop me there and ask me about a term. Any questions you have till now, you can ask me now. Okay. So next we move to a very important step in marketing, that is segmentation. Segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Can somebody is unmuted? Can the person go on mute, please? Hello. Hello.
Ajit, can you mute yourself? Shanti ji, can you mute Ajit?
Okay. So segmentation, targeting, and positioning. In short, we call this approach as an STP approach. Segmentation is in everything. Whatever we do now in telecom is segmentation. To arrive at a problem or a problem area, or to identify opportunities, we need to segment the customer into different buckets. To give you a simple example on segmentation, I'll just quote a simple life example. Suppose, say you are a owner of a business, and you or probably you are a head of a department in a company, and you want to hire somebody in your company, and then you give advertisements in the paper for that vacancy, and you get about 1,000 applications. 1,000 people actually apply for that application. It is not actually possible for you to interview all the 1,000 people and meet all the 1,000 people. So what do? You have some skill sets that have been provided to you by your company, saying these are the skill sets that the person should have, and also look at whether the person is a graduate or an undergraduate or a postgraduate or a PhD. If the person is is a graduate, he can have 5 years of experience. If a person is a postgraduate, he can have 3 years of experience. And if a person is a PhD, he can have 1 year of experience. And they also give you the skill sets that a person should have. So what do? You actually invite all the applications online, tell all the candidates to fill an online form with all the required details. And once you have all your database ready with you, you then segment that base. You segment that base on the basis of education, saying what are the number of people who are actually PhDs, what are the number of people who are postgraduates, what are the number of people who are graduates, and what are the number of people who are undergraduates, what is their experience level, and what are the how many students or how many applicants have these skill sets in their resumes. After you have your database ready, then you find out, after making how many students actually, how many applicants actually meet your requirement. So out of 1,000 applications, you will realize that about 10% of the people, that is around 100 people, actually meet your requirements. And that's a kind of segmentation that you have done. After you have done that, you then give them an online test, and out of those 100 people, you select about 10 people who are going to interview. And this is a very simple example of segmentation. So in telecom also, this was a case wherein you had to handle 1,000 people. Now imagine a scenario in telecom where you have to handle a base of 1 crore customers. So segmentation becomes more important, because then you can't virtually meet all the customers. You can have a sample size wherein you have a voice of a customer, but you have all the KPIs, you have ARPUs, you have average revenues for customers, you have minutes of usage for a customer, and then you have handset of a customer. All these attributes, all these KPIs, that is key performing areas, like ARPU or a MOU you have in your system. You have your database ready, and on the basis of your database, you segment the customer, or tell your backend guy to segment the customer into different buckets as per your needs. As a marketer, it's very important for you, when you get this data segmented, you have your own thumb rules to check this data, because a lot of times it has been noticed, because of a small mistake, the segmentation can have a big error. And if your segmentation has an error, your campaign can give you negative results. And when your campaign gives you negative results, it can actually give you negative revenues. There is a possibility that your revenues might fall. So you have to be very sure on your segmentation. So you should have your thumb rules in place so as to cross-validate your segmentation. You should have your figures. Some of the thumb rules that I always use whenever there is a guy who gives me data saying 0 to 10 customers, there are so many customers in the 0 to 10 bucket. There are so many customers in 10 to 20 bucket. The split of 3G and 4G and 2G handset is in this percentage. So you should have your own thumb rules to cross-validate this data and move forward. So segmentation is nothing but dividing your base, your customer base, into smaller segments which are manageable, which are identifiable, which give you a brief of what is happening in that segment. So this is what I will explain segmentation in a more clearer with more clarity in my next slide with an example also. So segmentation is important. So for example, you are experiencing churn. Your churn target is 3%. So you are allowed that only 3% of your customers can leave you. Now suddenly you realize that your churn is number of customers leaving your network, number of customers who are no more interested in your network and are now leaving you. So you suddenly realize that your target was that 3% of customers can leave your network this month, so as to have your revenues in place. If more than 3% of customers leave your network, your revenue targets and your revenue planning would go for a toss. And you suddenly realize in the mid of the month that the way the customers are leaving your network, your churn or your percentage of customers leaving your network is going to be way higher than 3%. It might be 4% or 5%. You immediately get into that segmented mode and try to find the segment wherein the customer is leaving you. Either you segment the customer on the basis of his revenue, his average revenue, or you have other modes of segmentation. Like if you want, you can also segment the customer on the basis of his handset, on the basis of his age group, on the basis of his age on network. Age on network is for how long has the customer stayed with me. So suddenly you realize that customer who has been with me for less than 3 months has suddenly started. There is a spurge, there is an increase in customer in the less than 3 months age on network bucket, and the customer from this bucket is leaving me. And whereas your average churn is 4% for all the segments, in this segment the churn is about 6%. So you immediately get into action and identify this segment which is giving you a higher churn, and also further segment this base as to look into which retailer, where is this acquisition coming from, because this customer has only spent 3 months on your network. So who's the retailer who is acquiring these customers, or what is the area that these customers are coming from? Is there a network issue in that area? Is there a service issue in that area? Have we closed a retailer there, or have we closed the Vodafone store, Vodafone Idea store there? What is the problem? Have we switched off a site there, or probably there is a site that is giving network issues? What is the problem in that bucket? And that is what segmentation is used for. After segmentation, then you target your customers on different modes. How do you target the customer? So after segmenting, you probably realize that there are 20 lakh customers you want to target in your campaign. But targeting all 20 lakh customers in one go might not be possible, because there is always system capabilities and capacities. For example, say your system can target only 3 lakh customers in a day, and you want to target about 20 lakh customers in your segment. How do you target them? You prioritize your segment. You prioritize your segments in such a way so as to take out customers who are going to give you maximum conversion in that segment. You target that segment first and prioritize your segment for the so 20 lakhs is your total base, and 3 lakhs is your per day capacity. So you will take about 7 days to target the total base. So you make 7 priorities, saying day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, and in next 7 days I am going to target my customers in this order. You also decide the modes of targeting the customer. How do you want to target the customer? You want to target the customer through SMS. You want to target the customer digitally. So you need to know, does this customer visit you digitally? Does this customer recharge digitally? Does he recharge through Paytm, or does he recharge through an app, or does he come to your own asset, your own Vodafone Idea app? If he does, you can advertise, you can tell him your offer digitally also. But there are a lot of customers who do not know, especially in rural areas, who do not know how to recharge digitally or how to visit a page digitally. So for those customers, there are other modes of communications available. You can use SMS, you can use OBDs, you can use a flash message. So you realize there are customers who are not opening your SMSs. You can use a flash which opens up on the screen, and customer, when the customer picks up his mobile phone, he can directly see the message without going into his inbox. So you can use different modes of communication to target the customer. OBD, outbound dialer, there is a recording that is played to the customer. It can be a subscriptive OBD wherein customer can subscribe to the product on the call. So he gets a call, picks up the call. If he's interested, he can subscribe the pack on the call. Select the time of targeting the customer. Very important for some products. For example, we launched a 7 rupee pack a while back. The 7 rupee pack was a validity extender pack. So whenever a customer took a bonus card, which had a validity of 28 days. Hello. So whenever a customer took a pack of 28 days, after taking this pack, if he recharged with a 7 rupee pack, he would get a 15-day of extended validity. Now the challenge was to explain this product to the customer, and when do we communicate this product to the customer? So we tried different ways of communicating the customer, and after a while we realized that if we make a trigger based campaign. So what is a trigger based campaign? A trigger based campaign is a real time campaign. Whenever the customer goes to the retailer and does a bonus card recharge, our system gets a trigger saying customer has done a bonus card recharge. As soon as we get this trigger, we push him in the next 5 seconds, 10 seconds, we push him a 7 rupee pack saying if you recharge with the 7 rupee pack, your validity will be extended by next 15 days. So we realized this was the right time to target the customer, because the customer was standing at the retailer point. Customer was standing at the retailer point. He had already done one recharge. His mindset was to do a recharge, and if we pushed him a 7 rupee extra denomination, there are more chances of him recharging in real time. So that's a real time trigger that we used to push a 7 rupee pack, and we call these campaigns as trigger based campaigns. These are real time trigger based campaigns. Third is positioning. How do you position a product? Deciding on how to position the product in the customer's mind. To give you an example, we had a product, a 30 rupee product, which used to give which used to give about 0.5 paisa per second call rate, whereas our base call rate was 1 paisa per second. So we tried pushing this product to customers saying recharge with 30 rupees and get 0.5 paisa per second. But to our when we did a VOC in the customer, the customer said, I don't find this product attractive because it is giving me 0.5 paisa per second. We told him, do you know that your actual base rate is 1 paisa and this product is giving you a half rate calling? He said, no, I am not aware that this product is giving me half rate because I do not know my base rate. I do not know that I am calling at 1 paisa per second. So then we realized, how do we position this product in the customer's mind? We positioned this product, then we repositioned this product and told the customer this product is a half rate calling pack. Whatever your rate is, you are going to half your calling rate. And when we told him that it's a half rate calling product, the product picked up, because then even if the customer did not know his base rate, he already knew whatever my base rate is, I am going to get a 50% discount on my product, on my calling rate. So immediately the product started picking up and it became a major selling product for us. You can also have because a lot of KPIs, location-based KPIs, age on network, gender-based KPIs flow into your network or flow into your system. A single product can be positioned differently for different markets. And understanding, so I was handling J&K for a while, and we realized that understanding for a product in Jammu was different than understanding for a product in Kashmir. So we positioned a single product, we positioned differently in both markets, and we separated bases because we knew which customer belongs to Kashmir and which customer belongs to Jammu. So we segregated both the customers, and then we positioned the same product differently in the customer's mind. Speaking about the same product, in one area we told the customer it was a half rate product, and the other area we told the customer it's a 50% discount that we're offering you. If you take our product, you will get 50% discount on all your calling rates. So because telecom, you get all the KPIs in your system. It's a highly data-based managed sector. So you can position your product differently in different markets. And STP, as I told you, is an approach, is a very important approach in marketing, and is used in campaigns to ensure growth in revenue. There can be different challenges that we can overcome through segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Hope I'm not going too fast. If anybody has a question till now, he can unmute and ask. If anybody wants to ask anything related to whatever I have explained till now, the person can unmute and ask me. Okay. So I hope there are no questions. Okay. So I will, because segmentation is a very important part of our journey. So I would explain segmentation with an example. So suppose there is a company which has a base of say 1,000 customers, and the bonus card penetration. So out of these 1,000 customers, about 200 customers on a regular basis buy bonus cards. But next financial year, because every company expects growth, next financial year the company wants to grow this bonus card adoption or penetration by 5%, taking this 20% to 25%. Taking this 20%, so you want a growth of 5%. What do? You have which are the segments you want to target, and which segments do you want to? The segmentation is the key here, because you will have to identify a segment wherein your penetration, your adoption is below 20%. So the simplest way, I will give you a very simple 2x2 matrix of segmentation, wherein you will divide your customer base into different ARPU buckets. So your lowest ARPU is 0, and say your highest ARPU is highest revenue is 1,000. You divide your ARPU buckets into 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 50, 50 to 100, as per your requirements, and then analyze which segment of this bucket has a lower ARPU than 20%. So any bucket that has a lower, so if you then you check bonus card penetrations on all the segments, and finally you identify a segment, say 10 to 20 or 0 to 20, wherein your bonus card penetration is say lower than usual. So you tend to make some plans or launch new products for those segments. See, this can be a little complicated, little heavy for you, but before you launch a campaign, you should be aware how do you segment your base, because telecom has huge bases, and every industry that you work for would definitely have huge customer base, retailer base, and it is very important how do you segment the base. Okay. So after you have segmented the base, this is you have to launch a product. Why do you launch a product, and how do you launch a product? Launching a product, because launching a product is prerequisite to launching a campaign. Stages of new product launch. Why do you launch a product? When you identify an opportunity or identify a problem, to have that, to capitalize on that opportunity, or to have a solution to that problem, you want to launch a product. So first you define your problem, and then you define the product or the solution. That's your first step. When you define your segments where you want to offer this product, what are your areas of intervention, and after you have identified the solution, you check the feasibility of that product. Very important to check the feasibility of that product. I once remember that we were having a meeting, and then we proposed a product saying we will launch a product which would be time based, which would give customer benefits for only 3 hours, 4 hours 3 hours in a day. and the product got approved in the business meet. But when we went to the technical teams and to the financial teams, we realized that our systems did not support that product that month, and we had to have different capabilities for launching that product. So it is very important to do a feasibility check for that product after defining the problem. After defining the product, you need to have a feasibility check. Third step would be to get the product configured in your system. Fourth step would be to get the validations done, get a pre-testing done for that product, check if the product is working fine. Is it hampering the performance of any other product? And the next step would be product launch, which would be of interest to you. When you launch a product, you have your GTM, go-to-market strategies in place. You have your communication in place and your modes of communication in place. What is a go-to-market strategy? Go-to-market strategy is how do you communicate this product first so first of all, whenever you launch a product, the first step you do is launch your product inside the company. Tell your company about the product, because your company guys are going to be ambassadors for your product. So they should be the first ones to come who should know about the product. So first, what you do is flow in a inside communication. Launch a product inside the company, and then second step would be to tell the product to your retailers, and third would be to tell the product to your customers. Because when the customers come to your retailer should be informed about the product. Then you have your retailer margins in place. You have your POPs in place on the retailer's desk. You have your campaigns in place. You decide how do you want to communicate, as I discussed in the earlier slides also. How do you want to communicate this product to the customer? Do you want to communicate digitally? Do you want to push him to a Paytm or a PhonePe or a Google Pay? Or you want to push him to a retailer to do the recharge? What are the modes of communication that you're going to use? SMS, OBDs, digital, social media advertising. What is the budget available? Budget plays an important role in product launches, because if you're going for a social media campaign, it will cost you some money. If you're going to do aggressive POPs in the market, it is going to cost you money. If you're going to do advertising, when you make your product launch plan, your budget is also your budget is also one thing that you have to take care of. And after launching the product, a marketer's job is to evaluate product performance. That is doing a pre versus post comparison. After doing a campaign, after launching a product, what did my product do? Did it actually help me enhance my revenue? Did it actually increase my adoptions? And if it did not, why it did not? What are the improvements I need to do in the product? So a post versus pre comparison is very essential from a marketer's point of view. This is a very important step. A lot of marketers avoid this step, but as a marketer, you should never avoid a post versus pre comparison. What was the condition before launching of the campaign, and what is the condition after launching the campaign? And whatever feedbacks you get from this, you can again modify or change your product or improve your product. You can also speak to some of the customers who have adopted your product, make them your ambassadors, incentivize them for speaking about your product, speaking about your product to other people. You can also take feedback, voice of customer ask them questions. Did they like the product? What are the improvements they want? And evaluate your product performance. This is a very important step in a marketer's journey. Next is, suppose there are a lot of times when a marketer is faced with a question whether is faced with an opportunity or is faced with a challenge to launch a product. To give you an example, suppose there is a product of say 120 rupees, and suddenly you realize that you in a particular segment want to launch a product, similar product, costing 100 rupees to the customer. Why do you want to launch this product? You want to launch this product because if you decrease, or if you lower the price point of a product, you have a better chance of getting more adoptions. So from a 120 rupees, you want to dilute the price point to 100 rupees. Now, if you are doing that, it's a 20% dilution in prices you are doing for that product. So then a marketer, if I launch this product in the market, and suppose the adoptions don't go up, but my price point goes down, because the simple calculation is, if I am decreasing my price point by 20%, my adoption should go up by more than 20%. If my adoption does not go up by more than 20%, my product would be a failed product, and my revenues would go negative. So in order to assess if I am launching the right product or the wrong product, instead of launching the product for the total base, I do a small pilot. A pilot is a very important activity and a very important tool to test a product. So what do I do is, I cut out a segment, a small segment. Say if my base is, say, a crore, I take about 5-10% of my base and do a pilot on 10 lakh base. I do not expose 1 crore of my base to this product. I just take 10 lakh base and stratify this base into target audience and control audience. My target audience is where I am actually going to offer this product, and my control audience is where I will not make any changes. I will continue business as usual. So I have a target audience, I have a control group. Target audience is TG, target group, and control audience is CG, that is control group. After making a TG and a CG, a target group and a control group, I offer my product to the target group, and I do not offer, and I keep business as usual for my control group. I run this pilot for, say, 15-20 days, whatever the agreed time is, and say I run the pilot for about a month, and after a month I take out results. I see the adoption in target base, because I offered them a 100 rupees product. I see the adoption of the existing products in the control group, and then do a TG versus CG comparison, saying what is more beneficial. So I have done a pilot on a very small base. Rather than exposing my total base to the customer, I have done a small pilot, small campaign on a pilot base, and come to know whatever is profitable, I will run that from my larger audience. It is important that I say I see the results on adoption and revenues both, because there is a possibility that adoptions might have gone up, but revenues might have gone down. So it is my duty as a marketer to see how has both adoptions and revenue gone up, because I'm lowering a price point from 120, I'm going to 100 rupees. So adoptions might have gone up by 10%, but in spite of adoptions going up by 10%, my revenues would have come down, which is not a good condition to have, which is not a good problem to have. So I will analyze both the results and then take a call. This pilot, we do a pilot in a lot of cases wherein there is a dilemma on whether to launch this product for a broader audience or not. The important thing to take care of in this pilot scenario is both target base and CG base should be replica of each other. Their KPIs on the basis of these bases have been identified should be replica of should be similar. So we call this as stratification. Both the bases should be purely stratified. So if there are 100 customers in the TG base which are in 0 to 10 ARPU, CG base should also have 100 customers between 0 to 10 ARPU. So on handset, on ARPU, on MOUs, both the bases should be a replica of each other to get perfect results. Okay. So after doing segmentation, targeting, after doing segmentation and doing a pilot and launching a product, how do we launch an integrated marketing campaign, and what is the use of launching an integrated marketing campaign? So recently we launched an integrated marketing campaign last year, which was Har Recharge Pe Extra. The objective was to make the customer get a feel of our products. So we segmented our base, and in the base we identified customers. So we identified a voice customer, saying this is a voice customer not using data with us. Secondly, there is a data customer not using voice with us. There is a data and voice customer using both data and voice, but not using value added services with us. There is a customer who is only an incoming customer, but not using either voice, neither using data. So we segmented this customer on the basis of his type of usage and the kind of the leg of usage, the lines of services he's using. So suppose there is a customer who is using only voice with us and not using data. Every time he would recharge with a voice pack, we would give him a data pack free for some time. There is a customer who is using data and not voice. Every time he recharges with a data pack, we'll give him a voice pack free. There is a customer who is only using incoming. So we'll give him, by default, for a 1 day period, we'll give him a data plus voice pack free. The objective of the campaign is to make the customer feel my services. When he uses my services, he then reforms his perception about my company, saying, oh, this company has a good data speed. This company. So second time he purchases my product. So the objective of launching an integrated marketing campaign like Har Recharge Pe Extra, which was launched yesterday and which was a huge hit for us, first is to develop brand awareness, to increase lines of usage. Lines of usage is nothing but how many legs is he using it for. So suppose there is a voice customer, he should also use data, he should also use VAS, he should also use content. So how many lines of usage is he using with me? Because more the lines of usage he uses with me, more engaged the customer is with me, and there are lesser chances of him leaving my network. To increase sales and revenue, because every time there is a purchase after he experiences my network, he would purchase my product. To increase market share, because when he increases my product, he would give me some revenue and in turn increase my market share. To increase renewals or repeat purchase. So when there is a customer who is already using my product, and when I introduce him to a new line of usage, there are more chances of him again taking my product back. So what is the methodology used? I already told you the methodology. We segmented the total base on the basis of his usage. It was a careful segmentation, because if your segmentation goes wrong, then your campaign would give you negative results. Careful segmentation, decide your target customer, sequence your mode of targeting. So if you have decided that you are going to target about 50 lakh customers in this campaign, and your capacity is 5 lakhs, you will take about 10 days to target this 50 lakh base. So how do you sequence your targeting? Which are the segments you want to prioritize, and which are the segments you want to deprioritize? Positioning the product benefits in the mind of the customer. How do you want to position the product in the customer's mind? So initially we started with lot of different positioning methods, but then we finally settled on Har Recharge Pe Extra, because this was one word which was conveying the product fully to the customer. Plan execution. How do we plan and execute this campaign? So we have a campaign management system. Every company has a campaign management system. We also have a campaign management system, wherein all the attributes, which we call as KPIs, flow into that system, and then we can form a campaign in in that tool on a real-time basis, defining whom do we want to target, how do we want to. So if I want to target a customer with an average revenue of 10 to 20, I will define in the campaign management system saying I want to target customers between 10 to 20 through SMS or probably through on a digital channel, or I want to target him through an OBD. So I can define the customer segment, and I can also define the mode of communication on that channel. These tools are called campaign management, CMS, campaign management systems. You can also, a lot of customers want to search for your brand digitally. So you can have banners on digital channels, Vodafone Recharge Pay Extra. You can have advertising, local advertising and local connect. Very important to have a local connect with the customer. So when you are advertising your product in Gujarat, or you are advertising your product in Rajasthan, you have to connect locally with the customer. How do you connect, especially in the rural areas? How do you connect locally with the customer? You send him communication in his own language, in his own dialect, and try to use local words which are very popular. So advertising and local connect is a important thing, because a customer in Rajasthan should think that this is my own company. They know how I speak and they are communicating the product in my own language. Customer in Gujarat should think likewise, and he should be able to relate with the company. So local connect is an important thing. Then you have social media advertising, Facebook, Instagram. We segment the bases, either segment the bases at the back end and then give it to our vendors for social media advertising, or probably directly make a campaign in social media advertising tools and run a campaign on these platforms. There are social media influencers also, a lot of them on Instagrams, who speak about your product, explain your product, and when they speak about your product, the customer listens to them. So there are social media influencers we use to make our products popular. So when we launch an integrated marketing campaign, the last step is to measure the integrated campaign. One way of measuring the campaign is post versus pre. What is my penetration or adoption in the segment I wanted, I have run the campaign for, and what was it before I ran the campaign on that segment. So what is the incremental revenue that I've got from this segment? What was the budgeted figure? What was I projecting? And what actually did it actually give me some incremental revenues? So one way of looking at revenues is post versus pre-conversion. Sometimes this post versus pre-conversion technique of measuring campaign performance does not give you proper results, because sometimes what happens is pre-period was a non-festival period and post-period was a festival period, and then this festival is actually influencing purchase, and you suddenly realize that post-period, because you had festivals, it is not because of the campaign that there is a lift. There is a lift because of the festivals that were there. So sometimes because of the change in period, this post versus pre-conversion technique does not work. So what do? We have a TG versus CG analysis. Whenever we run a campaign, we have a target base, and about 3 to 5% of base we keep as control group. This control group, this TG versus CG, after the campaign is run, after 15-20 days of running the campaign, we make a comparison between TG adoptions and control group adoptions, so as to see what is the lift that we have got in revenues. This is a more useful way of measuring performances, because target base and control group have been targeted in the same period. They have been checked in the same period, whereas in the post versus pre period, there is a chance that post period might be influenced, or it could be vice versa. Pre period had festivals and post period did not have festivals. So one of the post or pre could be influenced by festivals. So more accurate way of measuring a campaign is to do a target versus control group analysis. You can also have parallel checks, like you can check your improvement NPS, Net Promoter Score. There is a survey that we do in the market. Ask the customer how is he on different parameters to rate us on a score of 0 to 10, and check how is the NPS, Net Promoter Score, improving for us, and ask the customer how motivated is he to recommend our products and services to his friends and family. And he scores us on a 1 to 10 score, and then accordingly we check whether after launching this campaign has the NPS improved and what is the voice of the customer. So this is a example of an integrated marketing campaign. What is the objective of running a campaign? How segmentation plays an important part. How do we plan executions, and how do we measure the 4 steps of integrated marketing campaigns? And the campaign management system plays a pivotal role in running these campaigns. Anybody? So I'm almost done with my presentation. Anybody who has any questions or anything, he can unmute and ask.
Yes, students, please ask. You have anything you want to ask related to IMC campaigns, how they're planning, how segmentation is done, and other things that has been discussed.
Anybody who wants to ask any particular question or anything, he can unmute and ask.
So like depends when you talk about segmentation or identifying 5 to 10% of your market, this target audience from a base. You give an example like out of 1 crore you target 10 lakh of the customers. So on what basis you identify this small target group or this small sample population to test the?
Correct. So when I want to target a pilot, my 10 lakh base should be an actual representation of my 1 crore base. Okay. So to give you an example, if I am picking up a 10 lakh base, a 10% base, my 1 crore base is split into different ARPU segments. That is from 0 to 100. So my 10 lakh. So there is a percentage split between 0 to 10 bucket, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. So my 10 lakh base should be an actual representation of my 1 crore base. So that is, there is a stratification that happens, and the base is culled out in a manner that the actual replica, the pilot base is an actual replica of the broad-based base.
Okay, great.
And then when we identify this TG base, we actually take out a CG base out of it also, which also has to be a replica of TG versus CG, so that there are no deviations and there are no external factors that are influencing my take rates, my adoptions.
Great. So students, you want to ask anything?
So one question that I was asking, anticipating was, what are the different fields? So I made a slide on what are the different fields of what telecom offers me, because everybody, I think these are second year students. So what are the different categories, or what are the different types of profiles, or what telecom offers me? So to give you telecom is a huge industry, is a big industry, and when I was in my second year, or when Nitin was in his second year, we used to dream of, we had sectors planned. So some people thought of going to distribution, and some people thought of going to retail, direct sales, enterprise, looking at your strengths and weaknesses, because when you're in your second year, you have clearly demarcated your strengths and weaknesses, and based on those strengths and weaknesses, you decide your area of interest and the area you're going to target. So what does telecom offer me? Telecom is a huge industry, and you would be happy to know that telecom, and Nitin would agree with me because he was a part of Vodafone earlier, and because then telecom offers you a role in distribution, because you have prepaid sales, wherein you can get in the market if you're a person who loves traveling, who loves meeting people in the market, explaining his product. Distribution is the key for you, is the area for you. Retail, if you're a person who loves some kind of detail and also wants to go into sales. Detailing plus sales is retail, because I did a bit of retail in my career, and I managed Vodafone stores for a while. How do you convert your walk-ins into sales? It's a structured way of selling things. It is a very structured way of selling things. So if you're a structured person who likes sales, then you can opt for retail. Direct sales, if you like talking to different people daily, yeah, and selling, direct sales is your and direct sales also involves enterprise. Enterprise is solution selling. If you're a guy who has a technical background, who loves knowing about latest technologies, cloud and other sub IoT, cloud, internet lease lines, how do I sell this? If you're a person who loves solution selling, how do I go into the market, talk to different customers, do a cold calling? I'm exposed to daily a new customer, and and then you love to explain technical products and know about technical products. Enterprise is a field, and telecom is something which telecom is a place which offers you all the four. Then is marketing. People who have an eye for detail are ready to take that ownership, ready to work long hours. So marketing is either you business to consumer, that is a prepaid sale or a postpaid sale. Business to business, again, enterprise solution selling is a business to business model. And so these are the fields that you have in marketing. If you are a person who loves to listen to people and tries helping people and loves to listen and try to find a solution, then probably customer service is a field you should target, because then customer service, you get a lot of calls and a lot of customers who want to tell their problems to you, and then try to find a solution. In customer service, you need to coordinate with a lot of people, because the solution does not lie with you. The solution lies with somebody else. You need to go to that person, tell him the customer's problem, find out a solution, push him to get a solution, and then provide the solution to the customer. So if you are a person who loves to solve problems, customer service is one area. Data science. This data science is like I spoke about, predictive models. Nowadays, companies want to predict the future. What is going to happen next month? What is going to happen in the next 2 months? Rather than waiting for things to happen, so the customer has left me already. Now the scenario is changing. Who are the customers who are going to leave me? Who are the customers who are going to recharge next month? So data science does a lot of future working for us, wherein a lot of prediction models work. So if you are a person who loves working on softwares, who loves to take out data, who loves to play with data, who loves to cross tabbing on multiple KPIs, and this is the future this thing, a very growing field. Data science would suggest, if I'm sure some of you would be doing courses on data science. So data science is one area where you can look at. There are a lot of institutes offering data science, so it can be an add-on advantage for you. And lastly is network, basically for engineers who are into networking, and then it's a different field, but I'm sure some of you would be interested in networks also. So these are the different functions that telecom offers you, and look at your strengths and weaknesses and jot down a plan. Where do you stand? What areas are you targeting? And on the basis of those areas, you can target a particular function.
Okay, great, Dipinder. And we would like to have a separate session from you, wherein you can, educate our students how they should prepare themselves for the marketing, and then what are the different areas which are there and how they can explore it. So we can discuss on the soft skills part also and on the hard skills part also.
Definitely, my pleasure. It would be my pleasure to engage with you again.
Great, great. So thank you so much, Dipendra. Very nice of you. You explained very beautifully how the entire telecom works, how the segmentation is done, how there is a need to carefully identify or pick the control group, target group, and the this target group and the control group.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
we appreciate your time and efforts you have given to us. Thank you
Thank
so much. We look forward for more wonderful sessions from you all. And after this corona, we will look forward that if you can come to our campus and we can have a more interactive sessions wherein
Right,
we
right.
can
It would be an
and then
absolute delight to come to your campus and then interact with
yes,
students, because I wanted to make it a live interactive session, because then you get to know students and then get
yes,
to know people. But now,
yes,
because of the pandemic, we are digitally bound by whatever is happening.
yes.
So thanks to Dr. Shukla and you for giving me this
Thank
opportunity.
you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you all students. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dipendra.
Thank
Thank you.
thank you.
यार ये बच्चे तो बिल्कुल निखत होते हैं यार, एक क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछते हैं यार। आप मुन्ना भाई आ जाएंगे आपके